You look at the economy very closely. How do you see cryptocurrency when it comes to countries that are building up their economy like Pakistan? I mean, how important is the cryptocurrency, which is obviously very close to China as well? How do you see that? Because in Pakistan, the cryptocurrency is at the moment illegal for the public.
Yeah, it should be illegal if it's not issued by government. The only institution which is allowed to issue money is the state. No one else is allowed to do that unless they are licensed. Like you have banks, they are chartered to issue credit in the country's currency or in dollar. Now the
Why would
dollar
you
is,
say that? What's your argument? What hazards does that bring?
well, money is a political tool. It should be used to foster the general welfare of the people. It should not be controlled by private interest. It's the sole property of a nation, and the nation's government is responsible for issuing the currency and the money and credit which will foster economic development. That's the difference between a credit system and a monetary system. The British system is a monetary system where private banks, in alliance with the central bank, Bank of England, they control the flow of money and where it goes. Like now they are planning with the Great Reset that the central banks will take over decision making from governments where they should invest their money. And therefore the nation or the state is the only institution which should be allowed to, or legally, to issue currency and credit, because then you can direct that for the general welfare of the people. You invest it in infrastructure, agriculture, industry, education, healthcare. Private money is not interested in the general welfare of the people. It's very simple. Now, there is another story that China is creating a digital currency to take over from the dollar. I know the Chinese are not interested in replacing the dollar or the United States as a world power. They are comfortable and cozy as number two. But they say we have our own policies and priorities. We have our own goals. And the digital currency that China will use is both for its internal use, but also it will use it in the Belt and Road countries. That instead of using the dollar, which is controlled at the end. For example, if China wants to have investments in Iran, it cannot do it today because everything is nominated in dollar. Oil trade is in dollar. And every time you trade in dollar, you are under the mercy of the US Treasury. So you can be considered a criminal if you are in Pakistan or Iraq or Mozambique or anywhere, and you use the dollar for wrong reasons, according to the Americans, you can be indicted. So the Chinese say, we want to create a currency of exchange with our partners, which is not under the control of other powers. And that's what I think the Chinese digital RMB is for now. So digital currency, fine. I propose, like, if you have a Pakistani National Development Bank, you want to use paper currency and so on. You use a digital currency, which is very easy to control, to track, and you can also detect corruption, money laundering very easily. While cash and gold and so on is very vulnerable to money laundering, drug trade, terrorism, and so on. So it sounds like I'm too much for the state, but if the state goal is to foster the general welfare of the people, it's the state which should control the currencies, not private interests.